How to ensure a positive cultural fit in your hiring process abstract. This article explores practical strategies for avoiding hiring employees who prove to be a poor cultural fit or even outright toxic for an organizational team. It begins by defining key terms like toxic employee and cultural fit, with research showing toxic behaviors negatively impact culture. Cultural fit refers to an employee aligning with an organization's core values and working norms. The article then outlines best practices for the hiring process, starting with an assessment of company culture to define priorities for candidates. It suggests aligning job descriptions, asking behavioral interview questions, focusing reference checks on cultural qualities, and considering assessment tools. Onboarding should socialize new hires to the organization's culture. Implementing these research-backed practices throughout the hiring lifecycle can help companies consistently bring on individuals suited to their unique culture and social dynamics. As an organizational consultant and current academic researcher, I have had the privilege of studying leadership and culture within many different types of organizations. Through this work, I have seen firsthand the dangers that can arise when an employee is hired who proves to be a poor cultural fit or even outright toxic for the team. Today we will explore practical strategies for avoiding these risky hires and promoting positive cultural fits instead. Understanding toxic employees and cultural fit before diving into specific hiring best practices. It's important to define what is meant by terms like toxic employee and cultural fit. Research has shown that toxic employees negatively impact company culture through behaviors such as chronic tardiness, creating interpersonal drama, poor communication skills, lack of work ethic or engagement in unethical conduct. Porath and Pearson, 2013. Beyond behavioral issues, cultural fit refers to an employee's alignment with the core values, working styles, and norms that define an organization's culture. For instance, at a fast-paced startup that prizes innovation and risk-taking, candidates demanding rigid processes or avoiding challenges may prove a poor fit no matter their qualifications. Likewise, at a values-driven non-profit, applicants lacking commitment to the mission could clash with coworkers and stall progress. Ensuring cultural fit increases job satisfaction, collaboration, and retention for both the new hire and existing team members. Christoph Brown, Zimmerman, and Johnson, 2005. Start with self-aware culture assessment. The first step in achieving consistently strong cultural fits is for an organization's leadership to undertake an honest assessment of their own culture. This includes defining core values as well as implicit norms around expectations for communication, work-life balance, decision-making styles, and more. Without internal clarity on cultural identity, it will be nearly impossible for recruiters and hiring managers to recognize compatibility or incompatibility with candidates. For example, during a recent strategic planning process, the executive team at a growing manufacturing firm I consulted for realized they had drifted away from founding principles of versatility and continual learning. While efficiency had become central to success, prioritizing specialized skill sets alone was limiting adaptability. Through open discussion, they reaffirmed a culture valuing cross-functional collaboration and ongoing development, insights directly applied to refining their hiring efforts. Align job descriptions with cultural priorities. Once a company has defined its cultural identity, the next step is ensuring job descriptions accurately reflect cultural priorities rather than just tasks and qualifications. For example, a description could emphasize ideals like self-starter who thrives in ambiguous environments, rather than solely listing technical skills if innovation and autonomy are important. Additionally, applications and interviews should directly assess fit with highlighted cultural elements regardless of pure competency. For instance, researchers at a Midwestern university looking to expand their data analytics team knew collaboration was crucial given the interdisciplinary nature of projects, rather than focus solely on programming proficiency in postings. They emphasize traits like effective communication and willingness to learn from colleagues across departments. Final candidates were then rigorously evaluated on cultural traits in addition to technical skills during multiple rounds of interviews and presentation challenges. This approach led to strong additions who quickly integrated into existing collaborative relationships. Ask behavioral questions to assess cultural traits during the interview process. Asking behavioral questions provides crucial insights into how candidates have handled real situations in the past, revealing qualities and habits that indicate cultural compatibility or tension. Hypothetical questions are less useful, as answers don't reflect ingrained tendencies. For culturally important values like collaboration, integrity, or adaptability, recruiters can probe for concrete examples highlighting a candidate's alignment. For instance, rather than asking, "How do you handle conflict?" an effective behavioral question gauging collaboration could be, "Tell me about a time on a past team where differing opinions arose. How did you work to find common ground?" Follow-ups help evaluate things like empathy, willingness to compromise, and focus on shared goals over individual priorities. Answers revealing a candidate who escalated tensions or remained inflexible would serve as a red flag at many organizations. Reference checks focus on cultural qualities even with diligent interviews. Reference checks provide another vital perspective on a candidate's suitability that taps professional networks recruiters may lack access to themselves. However, too often these checks focus narrowly on job duties and performance assessments rather than cultural fit factors. Speaking to previous managers, teammates, and clients, hiring teams should specifically probe how a candidate aligned with aspects like dependability, positivity, initiative, or adaptability based on real working experiences. For instance, when adding a new account executive, an advertising firm may reference check not just sales numbers but how the candidate interacted with tight agency deadlines or handled client requests and changes in priorities. Responses noting flexibility, humility, and drive to solve problems rather than pass blame could confirm the applicant would fit well alongside the high-energy and solutions-oriented culture already in place. Consider cultural assessments as an evaluation tool while interviews provide invaluable personal insights. Validated assessment tools focused on workplace culture can offer another dimension for evaluating fit between job candidates and company environment. Of course, results should supplement rather than supplant thorough interviewing, but may help surface tendencies or compatibility metrics not readily discerned through traditional questioning alone. For example, one educational nonprofit I partnered with opted to incorporate the organizational culture assessment instrument during later hiring stages for department director roles. Beyond assessing traits like assertiveness, competitiveness, and flexibility, the tool highlighted candidates' general preference for stability versus adaptability, directly tying to the nonprofit's goal of continually evolving programs. Leaders used combined interview and assessment data to make well-informed cultural fit determinations central to their important leadership positions. Onboard new hires with cultural lens even after rigorous screening. Onboarding remains crucial for acclimating new hires to cultural realities on the ground versus expectations formed during recruiting. Onboarding orientation should focus on sharing defining characteristics of the organization and team in practice based on the culture assessment lens used during hiring. In this way, recent hires understand priorities and functioning mode from day one. For instance, the IT company I consulted for had codified autonomy as a core value but actually preferred close collaboration on projects internally. During onboarding, new colleagues shadowed existing teams to experience collaborative culture firsthand rather than assuming independence defined the role. This revealed potential misalignments early and socialized individuals to optimize cultural fit moving forward. New hire training and integration sets the stage for long-term success or identifies needs for additional cultural support. Conclusion: focusing recruitment and selection procedures through a cultural fit lens requires dedicated effort but yields immense rewards by avoiding high-risk hires and promoting workplace cohesion, job satisfaction, and productivity over the long term. Organizations that commit to understanding their defining culture and prioritizing compatibility throughout the entire hiring lifecycle, from job posting to onboarding, stand the best chance of consistently bringing on individuals suited not just for task requirements but the social dynamics and priorities that ultimately drive success. Through diligent application of research-backed practices, leadership teams can rest assured their growing teams will prove strong cultural additions for years to come.